Call the Raytown Board of Aldermen Committee of the Whole August 18th, 2026 to order. It is now 6 p.m. Start off with the roll call. Ms. Henry.
Alderman Walters.
Hang on a minute. Do it again.
Hello, here.
Alderman Tush. Alderman Hayden.
Here.
Alderman Azier.
Here.
Alderman Emerson.
Here.
Alderman Thomas. Alderman Garza.
Here.
Alderman Morales.
Here.
Alderman Mims.
Should be
Alderman
running a little late. Should be running a little bit late on Ms. Mims.
Alderman Krizak.
Here.
And Ms. Tush should be running a little bit late also. She just let me know. Okay. Look for an approval of the August 11th, 2026 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes.
So moved.
Ms. Hayden, you want to use your microphone?
So moved. Second.
Second by Ms. Emerson. Call the roll, please.
Alderman Hayden.
Yes.
Alderman Emerson.
Yes.
Alderman Krizak.
Yes. Yes.
Alderman Morales.
Here. Yes.
Alderman Walters.
Yes.
Alderman Azier.
Yes.
Alderman Garza.
Yeah.
Motion carries. All right. Fiscal year 2026-2027 departmental budget presentations. And just so you'll know, if it's not completed before 7 p.m., the presentation will continue after the regular scheduled Board of Aldermen meeting. We're going to start off with court. Diane Egger, what do you got?
Yes, good evening. What's before you today is a draft, and there will also be some line item detail changes that will come before you in September. This is kind of an overview, just to get your minds wrapped around what we're looking at for the next year, and then we will come out with a line item budget for discussion in September, and then the final approval in October. So what we're bringing to you today is just kind of an overview and kind of a highlight. As you can see from the overall budget, the very first page, I believe that is in your packet, you can see revenue, expenses, surplus/deficit, or projected fund balance. As you can see, the overall budget, we have a deficit this year, as we did last year and in previous years. Most of our departments have submitted flat budgets to us. Revenues are flat as well. Some taxes are up. I believe the use tax for online sales is up. Others are down. So we're basically looking at a flat tax with a deficit, unfortunately. The deficit is primarily in the general fund and for personnel. How do we cut the deficit? Decrease expenditures and increase revenues. We are down literally to the bare bones for streets, as you know, streets, police, public works, staffing, and projects. We've cut as much as we can out of this budget, as you will see, because you'll see there's a lot of departments that have decreases in their budget. But that still doesn't bridge the gap that we need. So we're looking at focusing on increasing revenues this year and from years in the future. So that will remain our focus. We do have one ground up business that will be built, which is positive. Chick-fil-A is slated to open at the end of October. So that will help, but that just won't bridge the gap enough for us to be out of a deficit. Unfortunately, we not only do we have a budget deficit, but we are also losing a valuable employee. But before I speak, I want everyone to know that I have no political favors to win. I have no career risks to fear, as I am near retirement myself. My only objective is to protect the city and to do what is right. And we are losing a highly respected director, the Director of Community Development, an honorable man who has spent his previous career in the FBI doing what is just and ethical. But after last week's meeting, he is choosing to resign rather than to get caught up in a system of arbitrary decision-making where innocent people are being hurt. His exceptional character will simply not allow him to tolerate this, and so he is leaving. And we might be able to fill his position, but we will never be able to replace him. And for that reason, I will be presenting the community development budget in his absence. And let's start the budget presentation. Mr. Graham, Court.
Okay.
What do you have for us, Mr. Graham?
Yeah, before I start with court, I just want to remind everybody, this is a fluid document, meaning that it's probably going to change, and if there are changes to it, we'll give you guys a heads up on exactly what does change between this version and the one that comes out as draft in the book that you normally get 1st of September. The other thing on parks, when Dave comes up, there was a duplication of payroll expenses or personnel expenses. Originally in this document that in page 2, it showed Parks and Recreation as having a $169,000 deficit for the year. Actually, it ends up being about $12,000 after we take out the duplication of it. But we're going through cleansing the budget now to make sure there's no other oddities like that, or if there's some one-off things that we need to change. Also, there'll probably be some stuff we have to add after we sit back and look at the entire situation. Regarding courts, and by the way, Judge is somewhere on the Alaskan cruise right now, enjoying herself, so I will take her spot tonight. Court itself, revenues are up. We budgeted $225,000 in FY26 for court receipts. In actuality, it's about $600,000 for this year. So by the 6-month mark, when I gave the financial presentation, we'd already surpassed the annual budget on that. So we're basically we've built this budget with a $666,000 for court receipts on that. It could go up, it could go down, I don't know, it's just kind of a flow of the system. The other thing on courts itself, there's a change where they've taken a full-time position and made 2 part-time positions out of it. That full-time position was open throughout FY26. They had a half-time person or a part-time person in there, and they've decided to add the second part-time person. What this does, we don't pay benefits on part-time people. So you'll see a reduction on that. But overall, that's court. Next up's Animal Services.
Sorry, I was waiting for the mayor to, yes.
Okay, I wasn't sure whether he'd done or not because I was sitting here reading.
Jennifer McCourt?
Anybody got any questions so far? Okay. Hello, Jennifer McCourt.
Hello.
Animal Services, what do you got for us?
So with us being a new department, everything was kind of, with an educated guess, maybe, and we had to make a slight adjustment to get through the rest of this fiscal year and what you're seeing for 2027.
Sorry, but the microphone's muted.
Do I start completely over?
Now you got it. Now you got it. Sorry, you were loud enough I could hear you, but I didn't realize you weren't picked up on the microphone. Yeah, now you're on.
All right. So the new department, with it being a new department, we've had to make a adjustment to our budget about midway through, and what we've come up with for 2027 is what we think will more accurately represent our needs. We are seeing an increase more in adoption fees than what we planned on, which is a good thing. We're partnered with a group that has reduced our spay and neuter pricing, which allows us to not lose as much money on adoptions and kind of recoup that money. Animal licenses are up slightly from last year, which is also another good thing. People like coming to the shelter, and I think we're finding they're more compliant. We also have spoken with worked with the rental department, And places like the towers behind us, they're demanding their residents go get a pet license to have a pet there. So not only is that becoming a good thing for, we know the animals in these smaller community apartments are vaccinated, but they're also in good standing with us.
And I noticed that since you guys have been there with Facebook, it's been great to see all the stuff you put out there, and it appears that to help out, our citizens are stepping up to help with donations as far as food and such things like that, which I'm sure helps some.
Yes, it's been absolutely amazing, and we try not to overload asking, but anytime we've got a need out there, it gets put out, and the community more than fulfills it. We'll have Amazon boxes. We asked for treats 2 weeks ago, and we have an entire 3-tier shelf full of them now.
How many gallons of peanut butter did you get?
Oh my gosh, we had to open a new shelf for all the peanut butter, but we went through it.
Yeah.
All the dogs every night get a peanut butter Kong to kind of calm them and keep them busy, and it's a good treat for them.
Fantastic.
And anytime we need anything, like if we think we're getting close, we're out of space and we're going to have to make hard choices, the community comes through.
Very good. Anybody have any questions of Jennifer? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, next, citywide.
So citywide, these are this citywide fund services, all of the contractual services for the city, and it's just supplies and service charges that are maintained throughout the whole city. It is down this year, what we projected it to be down by $1,000. So the governing body, which is you folks, which are you fine folks, under elected officials, that is down quite a bit, and that's down because of insurance liability. So that is the only reason, but it is down by $21,000. There's a few ups, and all throughout, when you do get the line items, all throughout the budget, there'll be some increases in supplies and services just because those are more expensive worldwide, I would imagine. But your budget as elected officials is down by $21,000 due to insurance. And again, the line items will be presented in September. Administration, which is the front office, that is also down by $2,000. And there's no real exact, like insurance or something like that. There's ups, as you could see on the page, some increases and some decreases, but overall, we have cut that as well. And then law is the same thing. And we believe that the insurance is decreased for the legal department, it's under personnel services. So if you see personnel services, it's not that that individual is getting less pay, but it is that the insurance for that individual has decreased. And so that's why we see a decrease also in that fund. Any questions about that?
Got it.
Or, no? Okay. Community development, that department is also down by $37,000. And that is because the director was actually performing 2 jobs. He eliminated 1 from the budget, and then surpluses, some supplies and services have increased, and so that kind of offset the savings for a person, but it is still down this budget year by around $37,000.
Could you go back just a minute and repeat what you said about the community development director covering?
So he was doing,
2 jobs?
yes, he was doing business licensing enforcement, which was a position, and also as a director, that's a position. He cut out of the budget the business licensing because he was doing both, and so that's why we see the decrease here.
Fantastic. Wow. All right. Who's got the finance, sewer, capital, sales tax, TIF, and risk management?
And I do.
All right.
Related to the finance side, in this particular budget, we have an addition of a module for financial reporting. I brought this to your attention during my last quarterly presentation. And what this will do will allow us to combine all the financial information from our business system into the budget module for actual. It'll actually help us produce the reports that I need to put out to you all. So that's one thing. The other thing is, and this is shown in the general section of the general fund, is that we're taking everything to the cloud. and that's coming with a cost. But to avoid situations where we might have downtime because of outside forces or whatever, the one way we can rectify or keep from having that happen is go to the cloud itself. So we're trying to take all of our business systems to the cloud. Joey brought you one last time related to his business, his work order process for the public works, and that also goes to the cloud too. So that's two big components of that. In addition, personnel expenses slightly higher. All the personnel expenses will be up because the budget itself has a 2% COLA increase placed into it, and also a 1% incentive for, not incentive, but it's based on employee evaluations, basically. So this year it's 3% total. Each budget will have a 3% personnel increase. And in most cases, you can see that the 3%. We also have components in capital. That's the fees that we charge off on credit cards, basically. For the sewer, you remember last year we didn't have an increase in the sewer fees. Well, this year we're not either. There's a couple reasons for that. One of them being that our debt last year, or for the FY26, we decreased the budget by approximately $600 and some thousand because the 2006 debt fell off. We paid for it this summer. In this coming budget, FY27, we'll have another 2007 debt that will expire after we make the final payment, and that'll be about mid-year on that one also. And then the following year, 2021 debt will fall off as we pay for that too. So as we paid off that debt, that money went back in, stayed in the sewer fund, and we were able to use that. So this year, we're not proposing a rate increase either for the sewer at this time. The other area that we have is TIF. That is just going through the normal process we have as far as debt and interest payments related. That's due to expire in 2031, I think it is. Yeah, so we've got a few more years on that. And then risk, there's no change for the risk area in this budget. And that's my areas.
Okay.
Questions?
Public Works and Sewer. What do you have for us, Joey Carley? Don't forget to turn on the mic.
All right. Well, I have tried to be very responsible as I've, new into this role. I'll always try to be responsible, especially so as I'm learning how to figure out the budget. But I was told to keep the budget flat as possible. Pretty sure I succeeded at that. There's nothing colossally different. We made quite a few cuts on services that we're not using anymore because we're doing them in-house. Tree services, we'll still have a contract, but we've got chainsaw training, we've got equipment, so we're taking care of trees in-house. Snow contractor, we are fully staffed -1. We have an interview tomorrow, so maybe by the next time you see me, I can say that we're fully staffed on maintenance workers. And all but one have previous plowing experience, so the training curve will be very minimal. Let's see, I'm trying to think of some other ones. Just kind of some small stuff that did not make sense to us to continue paying on. Weather services, I don't think they're that much more accurate than the ones we get for free. And the experts that have been doing this work for years, if not decades.
Can you mention the one project that you did to save us a lot of money?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to share that. So there was a sinkhole discovered at the public storage on 350, right behind Big O Tires. It was discovered sometime last year before I was here. It was a structural collapse of a storm line right on the property line. The owner reached out to me in the spring and said, "Hey, what are we going to do about this?" And I'd ask around to figure out what he was even talking about. I guess he had been told we didn't have the opportunity to fix it, but we're going to look into doing so. So we did a little more investigative work, and we did it entirely in-house. At first, we're like, okay, there might be some things we can't do, but we did it entirely in-house. By our best estimates, we saved the city approximately $50,000 by doing it in-house. Because it would have been a pretty involved project. There was stormwater work, there was pavement work, there was earth work, and our crews did it all. We only bought one new piece of equipment, didn't have to hire any sort of technical expert. Our people are plenty capable. I was out there a day or two trying to do a little bit of field work to help them out, but they didn't even need me. It was just kind of to get along with them. So it was a cool experience. It only took us a little over a month, and I can't imagine that really would have been much longer than us paying a contractor to do so and saving all that money, because you could say maybe labor hours, but our guys would have been working anyway, so we would have to pay them anyway. But we got that project done, and I would be more than happy to share any of the hundreds of pictures that we took, because we're really proud of what we accomplished out there.
After looking at that, I got to tell these guys, after looking at that, and how big that project actually was, I was so shocked when you told me you guys had done it all. When I went down there and looked at it, it was amazing that, it was, like I said, our guys are good.
Yeah.
And
They,
saving $50,000 is amazing. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. You could have stepped into this hole, and I would have been about eye level with the pavement. The pictures don't even do justice of how bad it was.
No, they don't.
But they make it look amazing, and that does do it justice, because it's brand new pavement, brand new fencing, and we did it all. And we didn't hear any complaints, so that's even better.
Teresa, if you would note that Miss Tush has arrived. What else you got?
Again, nothing groundbreaking, just kind of trimming some fat that we're doing in-house. There's a line item from last year about MS4 outfall testing. That's our stormwater compliance. We'll be doing that in-house. I did that in the past, so I know that my successor is completely capable of doing so. Yeah, we've been really fiscally responsible, I'd like to say. And the two major things that we are looking forward to in the next year that are, kind of out of the norm, I've put in a request to have the Public Works public-facing window done. Community Development just had theirs done. Court had theirs done, I want to say in 23. Ours could use a facelift and also a little bit better ADA compliance. And the other item is a camera truck. Ours is an old box truck that is 20, 25 years old. There are parts in it that are not replaceable. They're obsolete. The technology has advanced so rapidly. And something great for our team, but beyond that is a huge cost savings when we're not having to shipping out that work. It's a major component of any sort of engineering done around sanitary work or storm water work. So it's a huge cost savings, and it's a great skill for our team to have. So those are the two big asks.
We definitely got our money's worth out of that. We definitely got our money's worth out of that truck.
Yes, absolutely. We just did a repair that will hopefully float us till we have the new one, but they were kind of like, this is our demo, and we don't even sell this anymore. So it's kind of the point where we needed to do that, and we're getting something that's going to complete the job. We don't need all the bells and whistles, just something that's going to be able to get into the pipes, get video recording, and be able to support our engineering staff.
Very good.
Any questions?
Ms. Emerson?
I just had a quick question. On the vehicles that you had put out to sell, have you been successful with those?
There's a process of getting the title, so I think they have been just posted in the last week. I don't believe any have sold yet, but I can get back with our fleet coordinator, and I can provide that information to Diane and disseminate it amongst you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That it?
That's all I got.
All right.
Thank
Clerk,
you.
please. Dave Turner.
Good evening, everybody. All right. Whoops. All right. Page 20 is the parks. Our general sales tax, we did get an increase in August, supported by the voters. Our July income, which is normally around $32,000, was $69,000. So that increase has finally kicked in, and I believe it is up at full stream about what we should be getting monthly. So that's our increase there. Our property tax is listed there, and our grant funds, you can see in the revenue. We will be accepting less grant funds next year because will have accomplished more this year. So let's see, service and charges look good. Our capital expenditures, that is mostly grant funds. We do have on plan $125,000 for a playground replacement. I think it's $80,000 for a F-350 dump bed, and a motorized yard rake that'll pick up debris. It puts it in a basket, and then the basket raises up and dumps in a truck. So that'll help expedite some of our waste as far as leaves and trimmings, as well as fireworks cleanup. So we're looking at getting that a little bit easier for our guys to do some cleanup. If we look in the detail, page 21, I want to take you down to repairs and maintenance. We could look at personnel services. The increases there were a duplication in the program, so we're going to work that out. We are not having an increase like that other than we're not hiring new staff. It is just going to be the cost of living increase is basically what that'll be. So get down to repairs and maintenance. Fuel, we added on $3,000 because fuel has just gone crazy this year. Vehicle expenses, again, parts are up, tires are up, so we added a little bit there. Another one that we added to, going down the list, miscellaneous contractual. That is everything we contract with, our security company, trash service, porta potty service. That increase is due to mowing, is that we have taken on additional mowing locations and handed that off to our contractor. So our big properties, we've added Rice Tremonti, and we've had them do Little Blue Trace, which is a 34-acre property. So they don't do that every week, but they have been doing it a couple of weeks. And then going down, we have also added an increase in water utility. That is because next summer we expect to have a splash pad up and running at Terry Copeland Park. So just basic things that we expect that we're going to have to increase on. Otherwise, we're basically flat on our expenses and did get a bump up in our revenue. I do expect to come back in October and ask for permission to start applying for some more of these grants. We're starting to see the finish line to some of the grants that we've been working on, and we have targeted some grants that we would like to come back and apply for. So not in this is the next round of grant funding that, knock on wood, we can lock down. And that should do it.
All right, anybody have any questions? Ms. Emerson?
I just wanted to say thank you for cleaning up 63rd Street because it was really a disaster.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else?
I just want to say thank you for continuing to seek additional revenue streams with the grants. That's been a big help, so appreciate that. And I think our community is saying thank you with the agreement to continue with the tax.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Also, did you want to announce anything as far as any of the ribbon cutting stuff?
Okay. Yeah. Next week on Thursday, the 27th, 10 to 11 a.m. at Kritzer Park, we'll be dedicating a new playground that went in. Again, with our sales tax increase, we wanted to turn around and bring an improvement immediately to our citizens. Yeah, Kritzer Park, it'll be 7515 Woodson. That's the west side of Kritzer Park, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. On the 27th.
What about the park over on 79? There's something new there, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. We have installed a prefab restroom. That's part of our omnibus grant project out there. It has an upgraded electrical panel, so we're still having electrical lines trenched in to that. Once all that work is done, we will pour our concrete surfaces and install an ADA-compliant turf surface to our playground. So we're just doing ADA updates all over out there and getting ourselves more compliant. Since we're making these projects happen, we got to bring them up to code.
I think you got to give you all self credit too, because I watched those when they brought those in with those cranes and put them together. Saved a lot of money there also because of the fact that they were already pre-built and just putting them together and all that. Some big cranes.
Yeah, that was a huge crane, and they swung that thing around, got it all loaded up 9 o'clock, and I think they were setting it down on the ground at 9:45. So it was pretty impressive.
Do you have an estimate of what you probably saved? I know we talked about it a little bit, and the difference between if it would have been built there versus what.
I don't know, time-wise is where you get saved on that.
Right.
Is
Plus the way it was built was a lot more solid too.
Yeah, and so that was it. It was plumbed, all the plumbing was there. The building came in 2 pieces, all the electrical was there, and they just butted these things up together, and it's just like all they have to do is make connections. So it was pretty amazing. Things are engineered. They know what they're doing.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And police. Hello, Colonel. Captain.
John's graciously allowed me to use his chair. I've got a bit of a busted up hoof right now, so standing up for too long kind of hurts. But I'll go over our budget briefly. Chief's out of town for a couple more days, so he asked that I fill in for him and just give an overview and answer any questions you might have. For FY27, our general fund request on page 13 is $9,105,441, which is about 5% increase over last year. Capital sales tax request on page 25. $772,440. And our public safety sales tax request on page 26, the very next page, is $2,262,297, which is down about 2% from last year. So as far as our operation goes, we're not requesting any more positions, sworn or civilian. We've had some great successes on the enforcement side, which Michael alluded to earlier in the presentation. We feel like we can keep that up with our current staffing levels, and we know the budget, we're trying to remain as flat as possible, which is tough. Dollar doesn't go quite as far as it used to. But with that being said, we're trying to keep our staffing level the same. We have made some increases in like our jail, use of the jail, because we are bringing more cases to court, which results in more people having to use that service, if you will. Fuel has gone up, but with that, without getting too far into the weeds, I'd love to answer any questions you might have about it for tonight.
Anybody have any questions for the Colonel? Yes.
Thank you.
Are we at a service level that seems to be manageable, or are we going to need additional officers? Are we fully staffed now?
We do have some vacancies.
Okay.
And really, police staffing is a matter of, you do what you can afford.
Mm-hmm.
The promising thing is, and I actually brought some stats, if you could put some numbers to this, at our current staffing level, and this is just over the last 18 months since we really kind of turned that corner. If you'll remember a few years ago, at one point we had like 12 people in the academy at the same time, or in the various stages of training. In just the past 18 months, we have increased our DWI enforcement by 640%. Our citations are up 428%. These are traffic citations. Our arrests are up 150%. And our calls for service are also up. So it's not like they're just filling downtime. There's more need for service, and with having more people to provide that service, we're able to get more done. And because of that, we're actually seeing a pretty significant, again, in the past 18 months, a pretty significant year-to-date comparison of a lowering of our crime stats, overall about 39%. Stolen autos was a real big thing in Raytown just a few years ago. That's down 65% over this time 18 months ago. And I think that's because it's hard to kind of quantify this stuff, but there's more officers on the street, more visible patrol. It acts as a deterrent. When you come into Raytown at night and you see red and blue lights, maybe I'll just keep going until I get past that imaginary line on the Blue Ridge Cutoff. So we want to continue to do that, and we think we can do that for now with our staffing levels. Trying to balance everything out. It's a big project doing this for the whole city, and we're just trying to do our part without cutting into service levels. over 90% of our budget is people. We don't buy a lot of trinkets. It's a lot of IT stuff, a lot of infrastructure, a lot of services from other entities, be it IT or what the aforementioned jail thing. So that's where we are for this year anyway. For now.
Ms. Emerson?
Thank you. I do want to say that lots of people have said they see a lot more police officers out on the road, and they're very, very pleased with that. My only question is, on your commission officers' overtime, you want to increase that, but with all of the new officers that you have, why would you want to have more overtime?
It's a great question. And overtime in our industry is kind of a guess. We don't know how many people are going to get shot next year. We don't know how many serious events we're going to have, that sort of thing. So we basically just kind of stick with a number, and because salaries are going up a little bit, that number goes up a little bit. It's as simple as that. We don't try to use all that. Another thing worth pointing out is that this is a fully funded budget. We have vacancies, so it's if we were full on November 1st. We've done some different strategies in the past, but to fully fund those things is kind of the worst case scenario, if you will, in terms of budgeting. I don't know that we'll use all that. So could we cut it? Sure, but it's just imaginary numbers on a piece of paper. We might go over whatever that number happens to be when real life starts next year. So it's kind of again, it's a swag because we don't know how the public's going to behave next year.
Thank you.
Mr. Azier?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alderman Emerson asked part of my question. Mine is on overtime also. How is that figured? Is it by the hour or is it percentage?
It's by the hour.
So when we pay overtime, is it like time and a half?
Yes, sir. For employees that are subject to it. Not all of us get overtime.
And last year, I know that we added that overtime. Did we go over budget on overtime last year or under budget?
No, to my recollection, we were under budget on all of them. I'd have to look. I mean, Michael may know off the top of his head. I'm sure he has this whole thing memorized. But we track it from pay period to pay period. I mean, in-house downstairs. We actually monitor it throughout each pay period to see are we on trend to be over, under, whatever, so we can make projections to finance as the year goes on.
I guess what I'm getting at with the question, or what I really want to know, is that I look at you have estimated for overtime, and you're saying that last year we were over it. I'm wondering if you wouldn't be saving money by just hiring somebody. I noticed that quite a bit of that was on commissioned officers, so they're not like people that walk in and out the door changing jobs. They're probably more stable. When we're figuring overtime into it, and I'll back off a little bit, you already said we hired more officers last year. So we hired more officers, but we still had more overtime. Just not quite sure how we figure that. My only thought is that when we're paying $300,000 in overtime, would it be simpler and cheaper to just hire somebody to fill the job in the first place?
You're kind of asking me how a watch works, but I'll try to go through this. And I don't think we were over last year. If I stated that, then I misspoke, because we weren't over budget last year, to my recollection. We frequently aren't over budget when it comes to personnel services because we're not full. But when it comes to overtime, hiring one officer is a one-year process just to get them to rookie status. Mm-hmm. So it isn't as simple as hiring people during the summer when you're busier and then not having them around the rest of the year. It's just not that simple. And a lot of this overtime goes to detectives, because we have a major crime, homicide, or some sort of major crime like that, and they're going to work a lot of overtime related to that specific case. So it isn't like you can plan for a busy season like maybe you could with a restaurant or something like that. Again, overtime, it really is just kind of a educated guess until you find out how the year's going to go. We've had years where we've had 6, 8, 10 homicides or more, and then last year we didn't have any. So, but this year we had FIFA, and that incurred a lot of overtime. So it's not really a static measurement like a lot of services are. Does that answer your question?
Well, it gives me a feeling about, why you do what you do, and that's all I'm asking for.
Sure.
That all?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? So before I turn it back over to you, Ms. Hager, what I'd like to say is to the entire staff, I know you guys worked really, really hard. As Ms. Hager said, budget's flat. We haven't got a whole lot of extra businesses in, even though we've been working at it. And to spread it out where we have more tax money, we need more businesses. However, on the plus side, Public Works, Joey, you guys are doing a great job. Parks, Dave, I hear nothing but great things about you guys and your board all the time. Michael Graham, you do a fantastic job in keeping track, and John too. I don't know where John went, but John needs a pat on the back too. You guys work really hard to make sure that we stay within our budget and to rework things when it's needed. And I really appreciate that. We all appreciate that. I'll speak for everybody on that one. Recently, I'm not sure who started it, but Colonel, when they started in July, started giving out monthly stats. Fantastic. That's why everybody, in fact, somebody said something the other day on Facebook, well, what about all these paper tags? And I said, right-hand corner, stats, that's what they've been doing, and right on down the road. So that's a good way for our personnel, that's real good for our constituents to know what y'all are doing from month to month. I want to also call attention to the first time that I can remember, and we started doing active shooter training clear back right after Columbine when I was still on. This year, if you didn't know, we had the police department. They were the trainers, but they also were practicing. We had the fire district for the first time with their paramedics and all that kind of stuff that these officers trained and how to respond with them. And the school district and the school district security team also got a taste for what this was all about. Did I leave anybody out, Colonel? It was just, I heard nothing but fantastic things from everybody involved. So this is what we talk about when we're talking community. Everybody working together to get things done. And I really appreciate you guys, because I know that's a little bit extra load. And there's where some of your overtime goes too. You can't, just so you'll know, you just can't just take people off the street and do all that. You try to do it on an overtime basis. So that also goes for some of that. I also want to thank you guys for stepping up enforcement. That goes to show, with the court being full all the time, it goes to show that we're working out there. Our guys are working hard to get that wrestled down in our community, because that's a problem everywhere. And the fact that we've got less homicides, less shootings, less robberies, less of a whole lot of things. And that is attributed, as far as I'm concerned, to the hard work of the police officers out in the field, stopping people, arresting people, and doing stuff like that. That really changed when we absolutely got more people. One of these days, if we ever get enough money, I'm going to keep, if I'm still sitting here, I'm going to keep pushing until we get back up to 60 people like we used to have. We could be really rocking and rolling. So anyway, proof is in the pudding. You want a safe community, you got to be able to do that. You want your roads and everything done. We've got the great staff, we got great people. Just need to make sure we have more business so we have more tax money and we can get things done. So I appreciate everybody here, Ms. Egger, everybody on staff, even though this is just the very first part of our budget process. Fantastic job. I know it wasn't easy to get it where it is now, so turning it back over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing further.
That's it?
That's
Mr.
it?
Morales, did you have something? Sorry.
I had it's not a department question. I had a report question. It's not specific to the budget, but it's financially related. So I was wanting to ask this while you were here. So one of the things, everybody did a great job with the reports, but what I liked about the police report was it tied a number to a result. So if we were to see that we have an increase in arrests and people going to jail, that could be read one of two ways. It could mean our crime rate's going up, or it could mean that there's a lot of different ways to interpret that. But by coupling that with a result saying that we have decreased crime, that's relating two things together, and it means we're accomplishing something. One of the budget questions and the revenue questions that I had, it's not so much a question as a request, but when I look at these reports, I look at capital sales tax revenue, so which is obviously the primary driver or a primary driver of the city's revenue. What I'm curious about is, can we see a report that splits use tax, possibly marijuana, although I understand that one might come with an asterisk in it, from local sales tax revenue? That would give us a benchmark to pull from as we emphasize economic development and bringing in revenue. It would be interesting to see not only a 5-year trend to see how our local sales tax revenue has performed, but also a starting place to see whether or not we have improved that over time. Because I noticed that we had an increase in use tax, and that's fantastic because all money pays the bills, but use tax represents dollars that flow out of the city. Part of those flow here, but as far as purchases and things like that, they're going to corporations that leave the city, whereas local business tends to circulate the same dollars more fluidly throughout the local community, and that generates more revenue. So if we're seeing an increase in use tax, but we're not seeing an increase in local tax, that would be an indicator. Can we get a report that shows a trend or even a year-over-year look?
Yeah, we can develop one.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, that one exclusion will be the marijuana piece of it because we have one business.
Thank you.
So usually when we ask things like that, is everybody agreeable to that? Because I need to make sure that everybody wants them to spend time doing that. So we don't really need to vote on it, but is everybody okay with that?
Good idea.
Okay. It's a report to see where they have to be careful with that, by the way, but where our tax dollars are coming from mostly. Well, there's a certain amount of that they can't get exactly either.
Yeah, what he's basically asking for is kind of a trend on what it was for the past 5 years, kind of seeing how the local sales tax versus the use tax versus probably the utilities. We've got a line item by summary level, basically, property tax, use tax, sales tax. So what he wants to do is just break it out by 5 years, show each one of them, kind of trend where they're going. So and of course, as you know, I mean, prices are up in retail. You're going to see higher sales tax. Use tax basically is non-brick and mortar, but your Amazon guy that shows up at your front door every day. Not yours, but my house anyhow. So we can break that out for them.
Your mother's house?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it like, I asked that question one time too, just not a 5-year, but for instance, how much do we make from this business or that business? And that's something they can't do, but they can certainly give us some of the information he's looking for, or looking at whether it's, use tax or different things like that. So that could be very helpful. Mr. Walters, do you have some, or?
Yes, I did have a question regarding the franchise taxes with our utilities and so forth. Are they broken out separately, not just the franchise, but use tax or sales tax on our franchise taxes?
I'd defer that one to John.
I don't need to see them right now, but I'm going along with what Josh was suggesting. I think that might give a more clear picture.
Yeah, I think it just shows up as a tax from Spire or.
Thank you, guys.
Water companies.
Yeah, or the electric company.
Yeah, water,
It
gas.
doesn't break it down for us, but
Okay.
you want to know if the utility tax breaks down by entity any further than just what the dollar value is that they pay.
Yes, but I'm not sure that we can report based on franchise fees by utility. Maybe by utility, but not by company.
Well, that's fine. We only have, well, one of each except for water, I think.
Well, you have gas, cable,
I mean-
telecommunications, electric, and I wouldn't be able to report and say X, Y, and Z company gave us this much in franchise. I could report back and give you cable franchise totals for the year.
Mhm.
But yeah, I can absolutely break those out, not by company, but by franchise tax.
Okay, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Mr. Frazier?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Two things. One, I do know how difficult it is to try to estimate what a business is doing. I've done some research on companies just to get a feeling on how much money was leaving the state, for example. It's almost impossible to track any of that. So that's not good for anybody because even the state, for example, doesn't know, let's say, the marijuana. How much of that marijuana is leaving the state that we're producing, or how much is being sold even. There's really no measurement, and it's all private anyway. So even if we wanted to, we couldn't find that out. So I'm just opening up this subject. I don't know if it's warranted, but it's a thought. Do we keep or can we keep track of the numbers each year of businesses that go out of business and new ones that come into business to get a feeling of what the state of the city is and kind of an estimate on the size of those businesses, what we're losing or gaining. It would give us a feeling even on budgeting, estimating why maybe we're having a hard time meeting a budget, or maybe a prospect of when we are out looking for new businesses, what they might be bringing in. It seems to me that it would be a kind of a very objective way to track what the city's doing. I don't know whether we can build that into, some of the things we do at City Hall. It's just a thought. I think my feeling might be something even just to try to do it, to see. Again, it would give us a feeling of the state of the city. If, for example, we lost 10 and gained 12, or we picked up a major manufacturing. Think of what it'd be like, for example, what it was like when we lost Sutherland when they closed. They're still open, but they're not open to business to Raytown residents. They're contractors only, and that's all going out of the city. And I don't think that they pay any sales tax. So theoretically, Sutherland with a loss of sales tax. Some people, for example, don't know that H&H Color Lab is the largest and best color lab in the United States. It's right here in Raytown. That's a pretty big deal. What if we lost H&H Color Lab? Same way with Shamrock. I know that Mr. Price told me years ago that they had already put in cabinets in 1.5 million homes in Kansas City. That was a long time ago. They're probably way over that. What if we lost Shamrock? So these are the kinds of things that provide information about the city itself, what we are doing as a city. And we might find that we're really much more productive than we know we are, or in some ways what we're losing if we lose it too. So just a thought for the staff.
Yes, Alderman, we can for sure get the number. We can get the numbers for businesses open and business licenses, but when a business closes, we don't really know unless they don't pay their business licensing. But we can hammer down as much as we can, and we will work on getting those numbers.
Yeah, and it would have been like we lost an appliance company. They've been there for years, and what do we know about that loss? How much of a dent did it put into the economy of the city? So that's kind of what I'm looking at here.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Egger. Anyone else at this time? Okay. Hear a motion for adjournment. So moved by Mr. Azier, second by Ms. Hayden, let's do this by affirmation. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? All right, we are adjourned at 6:54. Make sure you're back in here at 7 o'clock to start the regular meeting. We are adjourned.